The night sky was calm, but Ghost Falcon's radar whispered otherwise. The operations room glowed in green and amber, screens pulsing every 3 seconds as the sweep arm traced its endless circle. Beyond the steel walls, a convoy of transport aircraft droned westward at 12,000 feet, heavy with supplies, steady at 280 knots. In the dim hush of headsets and muted chatter, Lieutenant Sarah Keene sat at her station, headset pressed to her ear, eyes locked on the glass. Colonel Marcus Hale stood behind her, arms crossed, posture rigid. To him she was simply another radar officer, competent but untested. His command voice had been firm at the briefing. Observe, do not engage, follow chain of command. His call sign, Iron 1, carried the weight of authority. Hers, Ghost Falcon, lingered like an afterthought. Every sweep returned the same. Clean skies, clear lanes. Yet Keene's chest tightened, a subtle smudge in the return, irregular, faint as a breath on glass. She noted the time, 2203 hours. It was nothing by standard metrics, maybe a flock of birds, maybe static interference. But she had seen anomalies before. They never left her alone. Convoy steady at 12,280 knots, Sergeant Dana Brooks reported, voice calm from the comms station. Iron 1 nodded, gaze on the master screen. Maintain course. Viper lead will cover the east flank. From the overhead channel came the crisp voice of Captain Luis Moreno. Viper lead, checking in. All wings green. The fighter escort was awake, slicing the night with their afterburners miles ahead. Keene leaned closer to her console, pencil hovering. The blip was gone, vanished on the next sweep, then returned again 3 seconds later, shifted slightly north. She tapped the pencil against her notepad, marking a tiny dot. "Sir," she said carefully, "I've got a faint return, possibly airborne, 20 miles northeast of convoy vector." Colonel Hale stepped to her side, peering at the screen. Nothing but green emptiness. He shook his head. "No solid paint. Log it as clutter. Stay focused." "Yes, sir," she murmured, though her jaw clenched. Seconds passed. The sweep rotated again, each cycle like a heartbeat. Blip. Faint, stuttering, then gone. Her instincts screamed pattern, not noise. She marked every flicker on her paper, drawing a line no one else could see. "Convoy looks clean," Iron 1 said aloud, reassuring himself as much as anyone. "No threats inbound." But Keene's pulse refused to slow. She remembered training flights where a single anomaly preceded disaster, where hesitation cost lives. Ghost Falcon, the name given to her for seeing what others missed, what sensors claimed wasn't there. She wanted to speak again, to insist. Instead, she swallowed the words. At 2217 hours, the anomaly grew sharper, a sliver of echo skating across the upper quadrant. Her pencil dug hard into the pad. She keyed her mic. "Ghost Falcon to Iron 1. Recommend vector check, 20 miles northeast. Contact possible." Colonel Hale's tone cut her off. "Negative. Escort eyes confirm clear. Maintain watch." Static buzzed in her headset, filling the silence where she hoped for validation. She logged the time again. If they wouldn't hear her now, they might when proof arrived too late. 3 more sweeps, the anomaly multiplied. 2, maybe 3 faint returns dancing together. Too clean for birds, too deliberate for weather. She gripped the edge of the console. She spoke softer, to herself more than the channel. "You're out there, aren't you?" Brooks glanced over, brow furrowed, but said nothing. At 222221, the radio cracked alive. "Convoy Control, this is Viper 2. Possible contact, multiple fast movers, bearing 190, closing fast." The room stiffened. Iron 1 straightened, eyes narrowing. Keene didn't look up. She already had the marks drawn. Every flicker she had logged fell into place, the line angling straight toward Hawk Train, the convoy. "I had them at 20 miles, sir," she said evenly, voice trembling with both fear and vindication. 3 sweeps ago." Iron One's jaw worked, but he said nothing. The klaxon of incoming filled the operations room, voices rising as orders spilled across channels. Keen's hands steadied on the console. She no longer felt small, no longer unseen. They could doubt her, dismiss her, silence her warnings, but the radar never lied. And she had listened when no one else would. The first official contact had been made. The storm was coming, and Ghost Falcon was ready to meet it. What began as a faint whisper on her radar was about to erupt into a sky filled with hostile signatures. The sky erupted with hostile signatures, blotting the radar like a storm breaking over calm waters. Lieutenant Sarah Keen, Ghost Falcon, felt her pulse jump as the returns crowded her screen. 1 blip became 5. 5 became a swarm. The sweep arm circled every 3 seconds, and with each pass the picture grew worse. She tightened her grip on the pencil resting beside her console, sketching the contacts in quick lines on her notepad. They were coming from multiple bearings, angling in with deliberate speed. Her headset crackled with clipped voices. The convoy, Hawk Train, was still steady at 12,000 feet, cruising blind through the night, unaware of what was building above them. Colonel Marcus Hale, Iron One, stood stiff at the command table, his jaw locked, his eyes scanning the master screen. He had expected harassment, not this. Even his silence carried weight. The comms flared. "Viper lead, this is Iron One. Enemy contacts bearing 180, intercept at best speed." Captain Luis Moreno's voice, sharp and confident, filled the room. "Copy. Iron One, Viper flight, pushing to intercept." Ghost Falcon marked the sweep. Distance, 180 nautical miles. Closing fast. She knew the numbers by instinct before the computer could calculate them. Their speed was too high for reconnaissance. Mach 1.2 at least, breaking formation in attack arcs. Her hand hovered over the transmit key. She shouldn't. Orders were clear. But she whispered the correction under her breath anyway. Heading 240, not 180. The swarm had shifted in the last rotation. The escort jets thundered toward the false bearing. She bit her lip, nails digging into her palm. "Contact lost. Negative tally," came the sharp call from one of the Viper pilots. Keen inhaled, steadying her nerves. She pressed her finger to the side of the console, keeping it just off the transmit switch. She could see it. She could guide them. But she was supposed to be silent. She couldn't. Not anymore. "Viper lead. Break left, heading 240. Climb 2,000. Hostiles shifting west," she said, voice low but clear into the net. There was a pause. Silence stretched. Then Moreno answered. "Copy. Ghost Falcon. Breaking left." Iron One's head snapped toward her, eyes narrowing, but no reprimand came. He turned instead to the radar repeaters. His silence was permission. The intercept unfolded across her scope. Blue arcs, the friendlies, cut in behind red returns. The first clash lit up the airwaves, pilots calling maneuvers, lock warnings filling her ears. She tracked vectors, whispering adjustments, sliding corrections between bursts of static. Every time the fighters listened, the battle steadied. Then came the anomaly. A single return blinked in and out, ghosting across the radar like it was half there, half not, too precise to be interference. Keen frowned, leaning closer. "Who are you?" she murmured to the screen. The blip reappeared at 60 miles, diving straight through the melee. Fast, controlled. "Iron One," she said, louder now. "Unknown high-speed contact slipping through at bearing 310. 40 miles and closing." The colonel's hands gripped the edge of the console. He had no visual confirmation, no escort available to intercept. For the first time, he didn't counter her. The comms erupted. "Viper 3, I've got nothing. He's invisible out here." The blip cut across the sweep, closing on Hawk Train like a dagger. Keen's chest seized. This wasn't a swarm anymore. This was a hunter. She keyed the mic fully. Her voice went out across the net, calm and sharp as a blade. Viper lead, new contact closing fast on Hawk Train, bearing 310, cut him off, now. Moreno didn't hesitate. Copy, Ghost Falcon, moving to engage. Her console lit with frantic returns, vectors crossing as the escorts shifted. She drew the blip's arc with her pencil, hand shaking. This pilot was skilled, slipping between radar sweeps, exploiting blind spots. Black Fang. The name formed in her head, unspoken yet certain. The convoy pilots finally broke the silence, strained voices over the comms. Hawk Train, visual on contact. He's coming straight at us. Viper lead, he's yours, Keen shouted into the channel. The vectors converged. For a breathless moment, she couldn't tell who was who. Then, one hostile return flickered, split, and vanished from her screen. She exhaled, a shaky relief rolling through her chest. The room was alive with voices, the colonel barking orders, escorts pressing the fight, but she barely heard them. Her world had narrowed to the sweep, the pencil lines, the fading echo where a predator had nearly broken through. Colonel Hale finally looked at her. Not with dismissal this time, but with something closer to calculation. He didn't thank her. He didn't need to. The fact he hadn't stopped her was proof enough. She sat straighter, headset snug against her ears, gaze steady on the storm of returns. The battle wasn't over, not even close, because Black Fang was still out there, and the next sweep would bring him back. Her call sign echoed across the comms, not as a whisper, but as the voice holding the sky together. The night convoy stretched in silver arcs across the black horizon, 12 lumbering transports packed with fuel, food, and lives depending on their safe passage. At 12,000 feet, the aircraft moved steady, their engines a low heartbeat against the void. Radar stations hummed in the dark, their green sweeps catching fragments of a battle unfolding just beyond reach. Lieutenant Keen, Ghost Falcon, sat rigid, headset pressed tight, her fingers tracing every flicker across the scope. Her world was a screen pulsing every 3 seconds, but in it she saw patterns, rhythm, intent. The swarm of hostile aircraft had been blunted, but not broken. And somewhere in that shifting storm, the shadow she dreaded most waited to strike. Black Fang. Colonel Hale, Iron 1, hovered near the operations table, jaw tight, eyes darting between Ghost Falcon's readings and the chaos outside. Hours earlier, he had told her to stay silent, to observe. Now he stayed silent himself, listening as the voice he once dismissed grew into the anchor of the entire defense. Hawk Train, maintain course 280, altitude hold 12,000. Ghost Falcon's tone was even, precise. The convoy needed stability. The fighters could not defend them if they scattered. The air was thick with transmissions. Viper led barked maneuvers as his squadron weaved in brutal combat above. Fuel gauges dipped. Missile counters shrank. And still, the enemy pressed, wave after wave peeling toward the vulnerable supply line. Then she saw it, an irregular trace at the edge of her scope. Not noise, not random. A deliberate arc at 25,000 feet, velocity surging, signature faint, like a predator holding its breath. Black Fang. He was climbing above the furball, rolling inverted, lining for a dive. Her pulse spiked. Viper lead, brake left, heading 240, climb 2,000, now. There was no time for permission, no time for protocol. Her voice cut through comms with a clarity that silenced doubt. The fighters obeyed instinctively, banking hard, afterburners igniting against the night. A heartbeat later, the shadow tore through where they had been, cannons flashing, a hunter denied its kill. Colonel Hale's eyes flicked to her, sharp with shock, then sharper with something else, trust forming where there had been only skepticism. But Black Fang was not finished. The ace reappeared on the scope, a ghost slipping in and out of radar lock, masking his vector with violent maneuvers. He rolled high G at 25,000, bleeding speed only to surge again in impossible arcs. He was cutting for the lead transport, the heart of Hawk Train. Every second mattered. Keen's hands steadied. Her voice was calm, though her chest felt like a drum. Viper lead, vector 360, hold. Wait for him to commit. The trap was delicate. Too soon, and Black Fang would break away. Too late, and the convoy would burn. The blip steadied, a telltale rhythm. He always rolled twice before diving, a pattern hidden in the chaos. She saw it now, the fingerprint of his arrogance. Now, intercept, fire at will. The comms erupted. Viper lead broke from formation like a blade unsheathed, climbing hard, rolling to meet the predator head-on. The convoy filled with tension as seconds stretched, every crewman holding their breath. Then, lock tone, missiles away. The scope flared, then cleared. The blip vanished in static, swallowed by the dark. Black Fang was gone. Silence held the sky. Only the slow, steady sweep of the radar remained, each pulse confirming what hearts already knew. The convoy was intact, Hawk Train still whole. Relief rippled through the net. Laughter cracked raw and breathless from pilots who had braced for death. Ghost Falcon allowed herself only a thin exhale, her hands finally loosening from the console. Colonel Hale stepped closer, his shadow falling across her screen. For a long moment, no words came. Then, in the calm voice of a man who had seen too much and judged too harshly, he said, "Well flown, Ghost Falcon." It was not ceremony. It was recognition. She nodded once, eyes fixed on the sweep of the radar. She did not need applause. The sky was her witness, and tonight it had listened. Dawn began to break, pale light painting contrails across a quiet horizon. The transports moved steady, the threat receding into memory, and Ghost Falcon sat in silence, her call sign no longer hidden, but etched into the night's survival. The storm had passed, but every storm left a shadow, and somewhere out there another hunter would rise.